be the security guy. He claimed he was a security guy.
Oh, there. Am I on? There we go. Welcome back to another special edition of Security Guy Radio.
Yes.
With my special co-hosts, Eve and Jarvis, talking about absolutely nothing. Not really. No, actually, we finished.
Have some good things to talk
No,
about.
we were laughing that we always do a better after-show show. After the show, we say, "Oh, what about this?" And we go, "Oh, why didn't we talk
Right,
about that on the
we
radio?"
did that, yeah.
So this is an attempt to do an after-show show and actually record it.
Okay.
And we think it's going to work, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So our last show, we were talking about personal safety. All security is what?
One,
Padawan learner. What was it?
local,
Local.
personal, and now.
There you go. Right. And after the show, that segued into, why do people run around saying, "Oh, we have to have a new gun law after a shooting"? And
Yeah.
why don't? So what I was saying was this: what you don't see is, okay, first of all, what you see is here's a shooting, guns caused it. It's a problem. We have more gun control.
Mm-hmm.
What you don't see is, I want to pass a law that says every single school in the United States has to have an electronic door locking system with bulletproof glass and bulletproof doors, so the bad guy can't get in there and kill anybody.
Yeah.
Why don't we see that law? Wouldn't that stop a lot of deaths?
Yeah, but
Yes.
it would cost a lot of money.
Well,
So
Well-
is that why we don't not seeing it?
Oh, that is one reason. It's a lot of money, right?
well, I
But-
think the other reason is that these are all little political issues, right? And
Right.
and nobody wants to fight about this because let's face it, these politicians, these people, they have a lot of money. They're not putting their kids in a place where they don't feel like their kids are unsafe. So it's not like they care. That's probably they don't care because it's probably not immediate to them.
It's a good point. Now, my kids went to Notre Dame High School here in Sherman Oaks. It's one of the best college prep schools in the,
Yeah.
in the city, founded by the University of Notre Dame back in the 40s. It's a
Right.
boys' school. Now it's co-ed. Anyway, the people would think it's private, so it's privileged kids only. No,
Yeah.
more than 50% of the kids that go there really can't afford it, and they get scholarships and donations,
Yeah.
and they make it all work. So it's not a privileged school in that way, because the Catholic mission is, we should try to include everybody. That's part of the thing, and they're pretty good at that. And that school needs to raise, I can't remember. I might be wrong on this number. $50 million a year to run the school. I don't know. Something
Wow.
like that.
50 million?
Something like I can't. It's a big number, right? And,
How big is the school?
it's got like
Notre Dame is very popular.
it's a pretty big school. It's got like
50 million a year?
It's got
I mean,
well for every kid. In other words, a lot of that money goes to paying what I used to pay, which was $20,000 a year per kid for tuition, and they have like 1,200 kids or something like that, and then they got to build a new swimming pool and they got to build a new whatever, right? So they have these fundraisers.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah, I could be wrong on the number, but it's a big number.
50 million.
Well, no, they got all those teachers. They got to pay salaries.
Was it?
Think about
it's
it.
worth it. 20,000.
My kids are very well educated. My kids have a good.
I mean, that's more than some colleges. 20,000.
No,
a year.
No,
no,
it's
no,
not.
no, it's not. No.
That's
I'm
not.
out of touch.
You're out of touch.
Well,
right
I don't know.
now, 60,000 a year for 1 year of college is like a thing.
Yeah, that's my kids' college.
That's a thing now.
They went to the University of Portland.
Yeah.
Which is another Notre Dame school, and that was
Oh.
Max's last year. It's $54,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's not an expensive college, by the way. That's not the most expensive college.
That's like a
This is
cheap.
getting ridiculous.
Well, it is a
Right.
little difficult, right? So the point is, though, that they have these fundraisers. And, 1 year, Mark Harmon, whose child went there, classmate of my daughter, he donated a car.
Okay.
And they had a raffle. And you spent $100 on a raffle ticket, and somebody won the car.
Yeah.
And so they raised, they raised $50,000 doing that. And that's how they make money. It's good. It's a good
That's
thing.
good.
And you can argue that that's the privileged, and I say, well, it's me making a personal choice to sacrifice and live in a cheap apartment for years to pay for my kids' education. That's what I did. And anybody can do that.
Okay.
And the school gives opportunities to people to raise money, to get scholarships, and make it work, and it can happen. Now, here's what I never saw. I never saw a fundraiser to put electronic door locks in all the school doors.
And we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I never saw a fundraiser to train the kids. I never saw a fundraiser to put bulletproof glass on all the windows. I didn't see those fundraisers. And I was in charge of security for that school. And the principal, Stevie, who's been there forever, right, was just not a big security advocate. And she didn't like security. She had to have it, but she wasn't crazy about it. And that school had issues. That school, on more than one occasion, had something happen where there was a potential problem, right?
And Chuck, let me quickly mention this. We earlier in our talk mentioned that the reason why people aren't talking about these security things is because they don't want people to be scared to take their children to school.
Right.
And then in return, we're actually making our children more unsafe
very
by
more safe.
wanting our schools to sound safer. That's a problem.
I took my daughter out of the private school system when I moved to Burbank. And we thought, you know what, we're going to buy a house, got to save some money. And before then, we were living in an apartment, right? And I put her in a public school in Burbank. Burbank has good public schools.
Yeah.
And one day she comes home and says, off the cuff, something about, we're talking about something. She says, oh, well, little Billy said he was going to come in here and shoot people. And I go, what? When did that happen? Oh, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. So I go down to the school, talk to the principal. What's going on? Well, that's private information. It's confidential. No. My daughter knows about it. Apparently, it's not confidential. And by the way, did you check out the threat? Well, his parents don't have any gun. We don't think it's viable. Okay, how do you know the parents don't have a gun? Well, because they said so. Did you check with the PD and see if they're registered for a gun or what you just took, Oh, she did not like me. And I got very loud in the office in front of the parents and said, so you're not going to disclose to all the parents that some kid threatened to come in here with a gun and kill people. And all the moms are going, what is he talking about?
Right.
I took her out of that school immediately because this principal was just a pompous, arrogant idiot, typical intellectual that thinks she's smarter than everybody else. And therefore, obviously, I can't solve the problem. She can. And by the way, she knew I was in charge of security at Disney, police officer. I knew what I was talking about. Didn't want to hear it. All right.
Well, Chuck, I don't think that it's just that. I think the problem is that this principal probably thought it was like, okay, they're thinking about their numbers at the end of the year.
Right.
How are they going to make money if everybody thinks that it's unsafe and everybody takes their kids
takes
outside of
kids out,
that
right.
school? What's happening?
Well, how can you make it safe when they take their kids out of the school because they all got shot?
But they obviously
Well, no.
they're willing to take that chance or that risk.
Well,
Yeah, but see,
Right.
but I don't see that it's any risk analysis. There's a risk analysis between cost and benefit. This cost this much money to build a bookcase, but the benefit is the books are standing horizontal instead of vertical. Not a great benefit. We're going to get rid of the cost. There's no cost benefit analysis in you're alive and you're dead.
right.
That's not the value. Is you're alive. That's the value.
Yeah, but what tends to happen, I think, is say for instance, something does happen at the school, then maybe she would be more open to listening to what you have to say or something like that.
Yeah.
But with nothing has happened, then the thought is
At that school.
right at that school.
And I would argue that that's a good argument if no school's ever had a shooting. Now, I looked on the web today before I came in, and I don't know how accurate this is because people massage numbers, but if you started in 1996 and started counting school shootings worldwide, I don't know, 2-something, close to 300 worldwide.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of data that says we've had school shootings, therefore we could have a school shooting. So to your point, it's never happened here. It's happened inside that business unit. It's happened in that inside that institution. Not here though, locally, but it has happened. So we got to do something about it.
Right.
Right.
So I don't go for that. And you know what? Instead of paying for your big fat administration salary that doesn't do anything, let me cut out a couple of those positions and pay for some locks, pay for some training. By the way, let's talk about what you could do for free. So to your arguments that it costs money, not a bad argument. I'm a capitalist. Money makes the world spin, right? What's free? Well, there's a thing from the Texas Public Safety Run, Hide, Fight. You guys ever seen that video?
No.
Great video. About 6-7 minutes long. It's a guy in a workplace. He comes in and he shoots a bunch of people. Then they rewind and say, here's what you can do to not get shot. That's free. And if I played that for everybody and everybody knew how to respond to that, we'd save people. So I don't think it's financial. I think it's a political will. I think it's political correctness. I think it's those kind of things.
But in
By the way,
But
you're
political
freshly
is financial.
You appear to be very young to me. I could be wrong because I'm old and my eyes are bad. But you are recently out of school, I would assume.
Kind of.
Compared to me. Compared to me, all right? Right?
Yes.
All right, so what were they teaching 6 years ago in school?
Well, it's really scary because
See, scary.
it's very scary because what they were teaching us they were just like, make sure, they always said, the reason why everybody gets in trouble when accidents happen is because all the kids run loose and nobody's listening and everybody's just running loose and going crazy. But, you know, we're looking at what's happening in these shootings, and these kids are hiding under, you know, a table. And, you know, the person comes in and then it's like, okay, well, everybody's right there just waiting. So apparently kids are not running around when accidents are happening. And in fact, they're listening, and that's how they're getting in trouble. And that's very upsetting.
Well, what if the teacher was trained to give them directions the proper way?
See, and
More successful model. In other words, follow my directions because you're 6 years old and don't have the cognitive ability to make your own decision.
right,
Follow me out this door. Let's get to safety.
right.
Instead of the Sandy Hook model, which was let's all get in this corner and hide, which is a great model for a hurricane, get away from the windows. It's a great model for other things, but
Yes.
the guy came in and shot them all in the corner, right? So, by the way, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just saying we got to talk about it.
I'm
We have to have
criticizing people. I
well,
think
you
that
got to
a
have an
lot of
intellectual.
people
You have to have an
are-
intellectual, honest intellectual discussion
Yeah.
about these things, and not be afraid to say, "I'm sorry, that's a little stupid." Right? I'm calling stupid on you.
Yes.
You know. So this gets down to like this gun control thing again. Why are we not screaming for training in schools instead of screaming for gun control?
Yeah.
Because gun control is not going to do diddly squat to stop the guy from shooting you. He doesn't care that he's breaking a misdemeanor law to possess a gun
Right.
to kill you because that's a felony. And it's immoral, by the way, right? So I'm all Second Amendment, and I'm also, you know, let's use some logic on this. And to your point, that's political.
Yeah.
Why would you not be making it a mandatory law? And if they can make us pay for Obamacare, which we can afford, I think we can all scrape together some money for some automatic door locks and free training and things like that.
Yeah.
Right?
You all right?
Now, you were saying in our after show, which we
Yeah.
always do, that you think people don't do that because why? Why don't they call for those sort of things?
Well, I just think that I think that the people who are in control usually have more money, and they're putting their kids in an area where they probably feel like their kids are safer. So they're not very aware of the rest of the population.
Well, I mean, they feel they're safer.
Yeah.
And I used to do security for, I think, about 15 private schools in L.A. And I will tell you that there was a appearance of incidents where it could have gone to a shooting level had somebody not intervened. And those are the most expensive schools in L.A., okay?
Okay.
So it's
It's not a valid point.
not a valid point. It's the poor public school is not necessarily more victim than the affluent
one.
school. And by the way, there's an argument to be made that the affluent schools, if you look at some of these things, or the kids, and I'm rusty on this, I haven't studied it, but some of these active shooters, they're not the poor guy, you know, in South Central that's because who can afford a gun? Where some of these guns come from parents' homes, right? That can afford guns because guns are not cheap. So it kind of cuts both ways.
Well,
but I think to your point, you were saying that it's
I just believe
where's the
that-
political will
exactly
to pass a law for me to put locks on my door?
Right, there's a different political agenda. Everybody else is trying to do something else that benefits them directly versus everybody else. And, you know, that sounds kind of evil, but I think that's the way that it works. And that's kind of how we work in our world. We try to benefit ourselves first, and then we think about everybody else. However, security is very important. And it is local, and this is around us. And it is happening now. So we do need to be aware of it.
So Senator Cerda, let me ask you a question. Are you going to want to be known for passing the anti-gun bill or for passing the let's put a lock on that door bill?
Let's put a lock on that door. Well,
You want to be known for that, but who's going to remember that?
But the anti-gun bill feeds into people's fears, right?
That's right.
So that's
exactly.
Whereas a lock feeds into your safety.
right?
Which makes no sense.
Which makes no sense, right? So
You
my
don't motivate
question
me
was,
by making me feel safe. You motivate by scaring the crap out of me.
Right.
See?
Well, and we were
That's the
talking
smoke
about
and
this
mirrors.
earlier.
right? But how do we fall into that? That was my question in the after show.
Well,
You know, how do
we have to have
How do we
now,
do that?
See, now we have to have an after
show?
crap. It's never going to stop.
So
gonna be a marathon.
how do we do this? How do we make this a thing that is possible?
Well, I'm not sure. Here's why I think it's all fakakta now. We are at a point in society with this election we were talking about this in the pre-show, by the way.
Yes, I wanted to bring that up. I'm so glad.
Yeah,
you
we
did.
should talk about this,
I
right?
did.
And this, I think this is the most significant election in modern history. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Lincoln might have been one of those. I don't have enough information to know that it impacted people. But in the end, it turned out it worked out well that he became president, right? Super significant. But I think this is one of these events where the people that are running for president now and are possible, two candidates that we think it's going to be, we've come down to a choice of two evils.
Okay.
And I don't mean evil in a moral sense. I just mean that in a general term, right? I've always been able, since I voted, to say, that's the next president.
Okay.
Did I tell you I picked Barack Obama for president? Watching the debates, it's one of the first debates. How many people were there? Like 16 candidates, remember back in the day?
It's always like that, yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's the next president right there. Who? That guy, Barack Obama guy. What? You're insane. He's nobody. Nobody even, he's been a senator 2 years.
Yeah.
I said, I'm telling you, that's the next president. Why? He's got it. He's got the look. He's charismatic. He speaks well.
Yeah.
It's about leadership qualities. He's got it. Now, I don't know what his politics are, and I didn't care, right? And I've always been able to say, that's the next president, that's the next president. I could do that, right?
Yeah.
I can't do that now. I have no freaking idea who the next president is going to be.
Okay.
That's sad, and that makes us unsafe.
Chuck is sad that he doesn't
Well,
know who the next president is going to be.
No, but it makes me, listen, I'm Mr. Security Guy, right? I don't usually feel unsafe. I feel very unsafe.
Okay.
Really?
Why do I feel unsafe?
I think
don't
it's
know.
because
Can you-
we're not sure what's going on, and that's
Right.
not okay. We,
So laws are made. The great thing about laws is this. It's not that it, one thing they do is they prevent you from doing things, right? But before we had laws, we had what? We had mores, we had morals, we had 10 commandments, we had other things that control behavior.
Yeah.
Laws just kind of made it official, and that's good. The better thing that laws do is it allows me to predict your behavior, right?
Okay.
It allows me to assume, and manners do the same thing. It allows me to know that if you come to my house for dinner, you're not going to pick up a broom to eat your mashed potatoes with. You're going to use a fork, and I'm going to say that's the left fork and the right fork, and manners, and at that low level, laws are manners in a way, because I can predict that you're not going to go crazy when I invite you to my house. And on the extreme side, I'm going to try and deter bad behavior, rape, robbery, things like that.
Okay.
Those are all laws in a way. I'm looking at our two front runners. And by the way, when we started this, I got two Democrats, and I go, I know what they're about, and nobody's dumb in that group. And then I look at the Republicans, and I go, I don't have any dumb people here. Well, there may be one exception to that, but not completely dumb, all right? Really, we have some intellectual people up here that are no dummies. They're smart. They know what they're talking about. And I kept going, I don't see a leader. I got 17 people, and I see no leader first.
Okay.
And now it's getting narrowed down to two people, and I go, I have no idea what either one of you are going to do. I cannot predict what your behavior is going to be in office. You see what I'm saying? That's
Yes.
what makes me nervous. Whereas I know you're probably not going to kill me for a lot of reasons. Maybe you were raised Catholic and you like the 10 Commandments and you had good parents and you're not a criminal and you obey the law, and I feel safe you're not going to kill me. All right, unless I piss you off, then for sure I'd be dead. But with these two people, I don't know.
I think
I could guess that Bush was going to be conservative. I could guess that the Clinton was going to be. I actually guessed he was going to be middle of the road.
But when you think
I didn't think he was going to be liberal, really, and he turned out to be middle of the road.
Well, wouldn't she be similar to him? Since
No, I don't
you
know.
think so?
No, why? Because she's a liar.
Well,
She's a pathological liar. If you and you're old enough to know the history, right? Right.
Right.
All the things when she was the first lady. Oh,
Well-
health care and all these things, all the gates she had, the travel gate. People forget that, right? So you cannot predict what a liar is going to do. Now, Mr. Trump is also a liar in a different way.
Okay.
He's an entertainer. He's a showboater. He just says things for entertainment purposes, and all entertainment's a lie.
Right.
All movies are a lie. Anything on the show's a lie. We're entertainment, right?
Right.
We try to be informative, but in the end of the day, unless you go out and fact check everything I say, you have to make an assumption that what I'm telling you is true or not true. It's opinion,
Okay.
right? And Trump will say things in one sentence. He'll go from, "We're going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. We might talk about that. I've talked about it. This is old news. What are you talking about?" That's what he says.
Which is actually very true.
It's true. And he says
love
nothing.
that.
He says nothing.
Right.
He has no substance to his statements. Now, he's getting to the point where he'd better come up with some substance because Hillary's got substance. We may disagree with the politics of the substance, but she's going to say, I got a plan for this. Here's what we got to do, blah, blah, blah. She has a lot of rhetoric also, but Trump has way more rhetoric.
Right.
Okay.
I don't feel safe with somebody that says nothing.
Well,
So you're saying you feel safer with Hillary?
No, because she's a liar. So I got a pathological liar that's proven not to, anything she says that comes out of her mouth is not true. I heard her say something last week, something to the effect that, well, it's great. We've lost no people in Benghazi. How about those Navy SEAls? Forget about that one. I mean, they just say things
Yeah.
because they're saying it to that group of people that appeals to that group of people, to your point, right?
well,
This is why I feel unsafe.
I feel like what's happening as we're getting older as a generation, my generation is kind of, stepping up, and it's almost like we're very scared. And we do this thing. So we were taking a personality test. Remember when we did that? And you were either assertive or volatile.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the thing. These candidates are not assertive. So that means that they are volatile.
Good point.
And that's very scary because these people that are not assertive are basically very quiet until something really pisses them off. Then they go nuts, and you're just like, "Oh my God, what do I do with you?" And I think that's what
An emotional reaction.
right? It's
Well,
very emotional.
I could see that with
reaction.
both candidates. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I can see that as well.
And
So that makes me a little uneasy.
and
it
that's what
does.
makes you uneasy because it wasn't like that before. And we've been trying to get rid of this assertiveness. As a society, I think we are trying to get rid of it, and it's really bad. It's not helping. I think
No, it's
if
not
you
helping.
have a problem, you go and you say, "I have a problem with this." You say it, in a nice manner, we're calm, and you say it, and that's it, and it's done, and you fix it. But we have this thing where I don't think we want to say things. I think we just want to brush upon them. Like
You mean like being politically correct?
We wanna
whole-
be-
Well, I think it's beyond that now. I mean,
We
it's
wanna be
so
politically
extreme.
correct.
It's like
right, or
it's crazy.
we don't want to deal with the fact that kids are getting shot in schools, and then it's a problem. And now we just want to put this law that gets rid of guns, but that's not the actual problem. The guns are not the actual problem. We have a bigger problem here. And then
We did a show.
It's a snowball
I don't
effect.
know, last month about crime and guns, and so Paul did some math, and he said there's 32 million people in California. I think you were here for that show, right? And there's 41 million guns. So if you divide the guns into the people,
Yeah.
and then you take the murders by guns, which I think was 1,500 in California, that means that each gun accounted for 0.0000001% of the deaths,
Wow.
right? But if you divide that same math in England, where there are 0 guns by law, but 50 guns killed people, well, how can that be? There's no guns.
Yeah.
Guns are against the law. How can guns kill people if they're against the law? Then the percentage is 1,000. The guns accounted for 100% of all homicides, which they actually didn't, because the number one thing you get killed by in England now is by kitchen knife. So they're not shooting anybody anymore. They're stabbing you with a
stabbing.
kitchen knife. Are we going to outlaw steak knives now? I can't go to McCormick and Schmitz and have my my T-bone because it's against the law. I get a plastic fork or a spork. Well, I'll get sporks, and then sporks will be against the law. That's right. Good old Kentucky Fried Chicken. That was a great invention. You got to admit. All right.
You could use a pen if you wanted to. Pens are very
And
sharp.
violence is violence. All right.
Exactly.
So people will just get smarter about it.
Yes.
As they've gotten smarter and more clever about what? The internet, phones, drones. I mean, they're going to find a way around it. That's human nature, right? So, this is the problem with the election. This is a very serious election because we don't have an ability to forecast how our candidates are going to respond to things or react.
Okay.
So, if I said to you, do you feel more safe or less safe? And I said, Reagan, what are you going to say?
Less safe.
You felt less safe with Reagan.
Yeah.
Why did you feel less safe?
I didn't trust him.
Okay, well, that's an important point.
He was what, an entertainer. Like to your
That
earlier point.
was my original.
He was
no,
actually part of SAG.
he's an actor, right? And I had the same view of him originally. I said we can't elect actors. He was like the first guy that got elected, right?
Right.
But now we look at his record and we go, you know what? No Berlin Wall, Russian Empire is gone. He did some good things,
Right.
and I think any worldview would look at him and a leader would say, I'm not messing with that guy because he does what he says he's going to do, right? I don't know what Trump says he's going to do what he says because he doesn't say anything. I don't know how he's going to respond to, Kim Jong-il or whatever his name is in North Korea there, who just launched off a bunch of missile tests. What's he going to do? Oh yeah, if we've had some missile tests, but they're not a big deal. But if they are a big deal, I'm just going to have to drop a bomb on them. But I wouldn't drop a bomb, but I might drop a bomb. What are you talking about? That's going to piss off people. I don't want our world leaders to be anxious about him and afraid of him, or Hillary, by the way. I want them to understand what the measured response would be from the United States if there was a crisis. And I don't think anybody can figure it out with either one of them.
I think I understand what you're saying now. So I went to this. I go to this thing every month. And it's like it's not a pitch fest. It's a place where some tech people go and they pitch their stuff and they get some feedback, and it's really awesome. I love this. And one of the points was you need to be crystal clear on what you're saying and what you're doing, and then people will want to invest in your product.
Not so easy to do, is it?
Exactly, not so easy to do, especially when you get ideas get thrown at you all the time. People are saying, oh my gosh, it would be great if you did this, if you did that. And that's very hard to do. And I think you're saying, I want somebody who knows exactly what they should do.
Well,
and
I'm not an absolutist, all right? And people make mistakes.
Yes.
We get things wrong once in a while. We can forgive that.
Right.
But we want some, as a point to what a law does, I want some predictability that you're
Right.
going to try and make some reasoned response to things.
So out of the two, who is closest? That's what I was saying earlier.
I don't think
Wouldn't it be
I don't
Hillary?
think
You're
either
saying
one-
Hillary is
No.
a liar, but you're saying you have no idea
But she
what
also
Donald Trump is saying. So
no, they're both the same. They're both equal to me because yeah, she's a liar, but more importantly, she almost says less of nothing. All right, all right. He says I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to make Mexico pay for the wall. Okay, you know what? I'd put $1 down to see that. That'd be fun to watch, right? Maybe he will.
well, I've
Right?
also
But what Hillary says is, we fight for you, and we're going to make things better. Wait a minute, your guy's been in office for 8 years. What's wrong? Everything's perfect. This is utopia with President Obama. Why would you in the same party say we got to make it better? It's supposed to be better already. So that's just nonsense, right? She's appealing to base emotions,
Right.
Right.
And then the pandering, and I appeal to Hispanics, and this guy appeals to blacks. That just drives me insane.
well, okay.
It just
But
assumes people are stupid.
But here's the difference. Then it seems like to me she's a politician and Donald Trump is an entertainer.
I think that's
Right.
true.
Well,
yeah.
I
Right.
think he's
Yeah.
a businessman, and that adds another level to it.
Yeah. Well, listen, he is brilliant in one way because he's created a third party inside a party.
He really has.
He has.
The Republicans are not happy with him.
And they're not too smart. You didn't see this coming, really. The guy's been registered a Democrat for 25, 30 years. He's donated to parties. I've seen him up at some security details I've been with the Clintons. They're all friends. By the way, how many other people do you know in the radio business?
I don't know,
A
maybe-
bunch.
Yeah, a bunch.
Okay. Do you think billionaires hang out with the guy at the car wash? Or do they hang with other billionaires?
Right.
And how many billionaires are there? It's
Not
a
very.
smaller group
Yeah,
than the
small,
radio
small.
people,
Yeah.
right? All right. So this is all normal, natural behavior for billionaires to be pals. That's where they do business. I get
Right.
it. I'm not holding that against anybody, right? But don't come across like, oh, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Republican all of a sudden because that's the only ticket I can run under. That's all a bunch of nonsense.
Right.
Yeah.
And Republicans were stupid. By the way, I'm not Republican or Democrat. Never registered for either one. My mother raised me to be smarter than that, right? So I'm not criticizing that aspect of it. I'm just saying that all this makes no sense. There's something going on. Let's talk about conspiracies. Something makes no
let's
sense.
Talk about conspiracies. This is actually very great.
So,
I just love it.
I think
love it.
I'm Trump, and I think I'm going to be able to go inside the Republican Party and say all the crazy crap he says, right? But first of all, it's not much of anything. But when he says it, it's like, really?
Well, before
I don't know David Duke, but I do know David Duke. And I might have met David Duke, but if I met him, I don't really know that he's a Ku Klux Klan. And what is that? And I don't know what you're talking about.
So
What?
is that like Bill Clinton? I smoked, but I didn't inhale.
It's the same thing. It's all nonsense, right?
Oh my gosh.
So I don't care about your politics as much as I care about you're consistent, and then I can predict what your politics are going to be. And I don't know what either one of these candidates' politics are.
It
I've-
just seems that Hillary is more predictable,
well, what I've read
Then-
about
then-
her, and I don't know if it's true, but I've read
even if she's a liar. you know?
political pieces that she's very hawkish. And I've read that she would probably be first to take us into war before some Republican candidate would, right? So I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, this is politics for you, right?
Well,
So it's just, this is a dangerous time because if you boil all the rhetoric down, and by the way, you know what rhetoric is, right?
yeah.
That comes from a base word called rhetor.
Okay. Yeah.
And a rhetor was a guy that went before the court, the king's court, and you hired him to say, Your Highness, Mr. Jarvis here stole Eve's sheep, and I think you ought to give it back to him, and you ought to chop his head off.
Yes.
These are the first lawyers. Okay, so the base word of a lawyer is rhetoric.
Rhetoric.
Think about that,
Yeah.
right? There's all this rhetoric going on, and I think it's easy to see through, but for some reason, people just think it sounds good. People are driven by two concepts. One, I like you because you're not a politician.
Yes.
And you're telling these guys, this is for you and this is for your horse. And that appeals to me. And by the way, that appeals to me because I'm that sort of guy, right? And over here, Hillary's saying, oh, you poor downtrodden, put upon, burdened, people, we're going to bring you up and make you all the socialists and whatever her agenda is, right? They're both ridiculous extremes because neither one of these positions is where most people are, which is the middle.
Right.
Everybody in this room is in the middle.
In the middle, right.
We're all, and we may lean one way on this thing.
yeah.
Yeah, lean one way on the other. I'm conservative on
That's
one
right.
hand. I may be
Everybody
liberal
is.
on another.
Yeah.
Everybody is.
Most
right?
people are.
Right.
And everybody's a conservative in a foxhole, by the way. Because the first thing I'm going to do is conserve my life by killing that guy if he's trying to kill me. Nobody's going to sit around and say, oh, I can't do that. He's going to kill me. So back to it, though. It's the middle. So with either one of these candidates, let's say they are the two candidates, I think this is calculated.
Well, okay.
That's
And this is
sounds like a conspiracy, but who
This
would
is-
say all these crazy things and hope that he could be nominated?
well, you mentioned a few times that like we have a dumb candidate, and I think you're
No, I don't think anybody's dumb.
Okay,
No.
you said something about
No,
it.
they say dumb things, but see, there's smart people saying dumb things. Who would do that? Why would a smart person say a dumb thing? Unless a smart person thinks that that's going to get something from
Well,
them.
that's the thing, and that's what I think that everybody should be aware of. That everything that they're saying is very calculated.
I agree.
Okay, there's plenty of things that you can go online of how to be more convincing just on a normal basis. Like for example, if
How to persuade people.
Yes,
Yeah.
if I want Chuck to like me more, I'm gonna copy Chuck's body movements, and then for some reason he's gonna like me more.
Right.
I forgot the whole theory to that, but there is stuff like that.
Is that why you're growing a goatee right now? I thought there was something on. No, just kidding.
But for example, if I'm closed up,
That's right.
the whole time, you're gonna be like something's wrong. So don't ever think that these politicians aren't thinking about these little things to convince you.
It's calculated.
It's all very calculated, and we should be aware and we should educate ourselves.
So to your point, and this is something I hadn't thought about until now.
okay,
I'm Donald Trump. I've been a Democrat forever. And by the way, he gives to both political parties. And so did, Mr. Murdoch and all these other people. That's just business, right?
Okay.
Right.
But for the most part, he decided that my personal identity is going to be Democratic. Because A, he either believes it,
okay,
or B, it benefits him as a business financial position, or both. Okay. And he decides one day that this is my business position and my personal position to be Democratic.
okay.
He just wakes up and says, I really feel like being a Republican today. I've changed so much that my philosophy is now Republican. No, that didn't happen. And by the way, his positions are not conservative. A lot of things he says are not conservative positions.
Okay. What's an example of that, Chuck?
Help me out, Jarvis. He says so much stuff that I don't pay attention
Right.
to all the
I
time.
don't need.
He thinks everybody should have health care. Didn't he say something like that? We should have universal
I
health
think
care.
he said something about taxes. Didn't he want to I think he
Oh, he wants to raise taxes
he
on
wants
something.
he wants to raise taxes, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? No. What's
Yeah,
going
I
on?
mean, just basic.
I think he wanted to raise it for people that make more money. Something like that.
Yeah, that's a typical Democratic
Right,
approach
it
to
is.
That's a very
tax the
Democrat-
rich.
yes.
Okay. I think everybody should pay 10%. That's my position.
Me too.
And we'd have more money, by the way, if you do the math, right? So yeah, so he's espousing things that aren't conservative, and people say, "Hey, he's our conservative guy." Well, what's wrong with you? Are you not conservative then? Have a whole group of people that are inside the Republican Party decided we're going to go AWOL and be left wing liberal? It didn't happen.
Right.
See, I think he's appealing to Democrats. I think that's what he appeals to.
I don't think the Democrats
don't
like.
No,
I don't think they
You
like
think he's
it.
appealing to the Democrats?
there is a faction of people that he appeals to that I think are Democrats. Absolutely. Because he's saying, I'm going to go build a wall, all right? Because I don't care what liberal people say. They don't want everybody coming over the border and walking into Beverly Hills and saying, we're putting up a wall here, we're putting up a stand here,
Yeah.
we're going to move in here. No, they don't want that, right? Nobody wants that, right? So they talk a good game, but in the end, you don't see tents on the lawns of Beverly Hills, do you? You see them in South Central Los Angeles, right?
Right.
So that's politically and intellectually dishonest. So if he's saying we need to raise taxes to pay for social programs, that's Democratic. But I can also go kick Kim Jong-il's ass because I'm a macho guy. All right, well, we want to be safe too. So there's kind of a balance there between those two things. Roosevelt, he was Democratic. He won the war. He's a good guy in that sense. He protected us. I mean, so being a protector and willing to take the country to war is not an exclusive Republican position at all.
No.
Historically, it's pretty even.
It is.
Yeah. So that's how he could appeal on that sense. Because if he's talking about big taxes, he's talking about universal health care. Well, let's look at that. Maybe we can have something like that. We'll have to talk about it. He's not saying like Cruz, which is this is going to be abolished tomorrow. So what people in the Republican Party is he appealing to that says, I like Obamacare? Not a Cruz conservative, so to speak.
Right.
If you want to say Cruz is traditionally conservative.
Traditionally,
Yeah. So I'm befuddled by the whole thing. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to you because you are used to people being more assertive, I think. Or I think that's how you see the world. That's how you see the candidates. And they're like very wishy-washy and they don't stand anywhere. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I think that's true on most of them. But who in the
I
right...
think Bernie stands somewhere. I think everybody knows where he stands.
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, but who in his right mind would think that I could change from Democrat to Republican and just say crazy crap and get elected?
Well, I don't think that he's ever a Democrat. I still don't think he's a Democrat. I don't think he's a Democrat.
No, he's been registered one. Before you were born, he was registered.
So what? There's people that registered as a Democrat just so could throw off the numbers. Like, there's all sorts of crazy
stuff.
So
what is not a position for security guard.
Right.
We can't use so what.
Fine, so what?
Come on.
I think.
She said fine, so what?
Okay,
oh,
fine.
well, that's all right.
Fine. Here's what I think could have happened. If you're a big corporate guy and you want people not to hate you so much, wouldn't it be smart to register as a Democrat?
No, because people, what's the word? The public perception is that only Republicans like big corporations.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're one of those,
Which is
if you're
nonsense.
one of these these big which is actually does not make sense because the numbers in California and in LA are actually mostly people are voting for Hillary if they have money, like the West Side.
It's all liberal.
It's all.
In fact,
it's all Hillary.
I don't know if this is true anymore, but back, whenever they took the poll, there was way more millionaires in Congress that were Democrats than there were Republicans. Really? A lot more. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Look it up. I mean, listen, you think, the people that run Disney and all these other places are Republicans or something? It doesn't quite sound right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a liberal business, so yeah. And that's where a lot of money is, super money, right? Bill Gates, Republican? No, I don't think so. Steve Jobs, Republican? Don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm not, I might be wrong.
Right.
But I'm kind of feeling that's not the vibe.
No,
right?
it's not.
And those are the uber rich people, right? Who's an uber rich conservative?
Well, that's just because there's
Walmart
so
people,
above
maybe the Walmart
Right.
guy or the Cook guys or something. But mostly the uber rich are the George Soros guys.
Yeah.
So anyway, another sidetrack. But anyway, back to the point.
But we just talked about how I really think that they're just above it. They're not really affected by it. If you have this huge business, your business. I mean, Apple doesn't make their products here, so it doesn't freaking matter what laws are passed for companies here because they have so many where you just you have to pay for everything. You have to pay everything.
Yeah, it's fuzzy.
It's so much more expensive, but they're not. They're so above it because they don't even their products are not made here anymore.
So Trump could be political in that sense that he's trying to get the best return on his business investments by associating with both parties or one party that he thinks is favorable to business or something like that. I mean, New York City, I would think people might assume was kind of a liberal group.
Really?
Yeah, I think the city kind of votes liberal, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like
it does.
LA votes liberal,
Really?
right?
LA votes very liberal. I think.
Yeah.
I was
New York-
thinking New York would be more conservative.
No, it's a whole, and the state tends to vote liberal on the New York side too. So
Yeah.
it would benefit his business to be viewed that way, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
So,
again,
that's what I was thinking.
See, back to my
that's-
point.
Why did he switch? Why did all of a sudden
Okay,
switch?
proves my point. I just want my argument. I don't know.
I think that
I want to know.
you want to know.
I want
well,
to know.
Let's brainstorm this.
Well, I want to know. I
go-
knew that Bill Clinton was what he was. Right? And by the way, when he got elected, I said, I think, where was I? Was I still a policeman? I can't remember. Anyway, what I used to say at a cocktail party was, listen, if I stopped him for a traffic stop, I'd find something to take him to jail for.
Who, Bill Clinton?
Because everything he says is a big fat lie. It's a nice lie. It's a politely delivered lie. He's not a mean person. He's charismatic. He's friendly. He's likable. But
He's a nice
But
liar.
isn't that
He's a nice
politicians
liar.
in general?
But he's a nice liar. Some people are not nice. Nixon was not a nice liar.
Yeah.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can forgive people for being a nice liar, but you can't forgive people that are a liar and an ass. Right?
Yes.
Hillary is kind of a liar and an ass. That's why I think. So back to my point about this conspiracy. My conspiracy theory is that somebody knows what they're doing, and they said, you ought to run for president in 2016. And by the way, he registered that Make America Great thing back in 2008 or something like that, way back. 12.
He knew it.
Yeah, something was going on, right? So why don't you go in there and run, and you'll be like a spoiler. And, you're going to get a little bit of the vote, and it'll draw away from the other candidates, and it'll split the vote like it did with Perot, and Hillary will win. Well, it's backfired. Now he's getting more votes than they anticipated. People still say, Hillary's still going to win. I'm not so sure about that.
I think it's going to be a surprise for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why he decided to run Republican is the reason why he decided to run in general is one, he's already done a lot of things. It's time for him to do the next thing. When you're a very ambitious person, you always got to do.
That makes a lot of sense.
You got to do the next thing. I think this was his next thing.
And by that's true throughout history. Rockefeller ran. There's other business people,
Right.
Perot.
It's
This
what
is not
you do.
unusual. Right.
It's what you do, and I think that's what Trump decided to do. The reason why I think he decided to run Republican is because everybody loves to hate Republicans. Everybody loves to hate them. It's very true, and that's just the way that it is. So then he was like, okay, well, no publicity is bad publicity, and I will definitely be getting good publicity very cheap because everybody will be talking crap about me on social media as they do, and that just seemed like the smarter thing to do.
Yeah, but
So
what?
you're saying it was smarter for him to run against Hillary as opposed to running the same.
It was smarter for him to run against Democrats in general, okay? Because
No matter who it would be.
right, no matter who it was, and obviously you don't want to run, and you already have like Bernie, who's already like there against Hillary, and that's like that space is taken. Why not take this space that has very docile characters all over it and be the bright one there?
Now, here's something. This is why we'll let facts get in the way. Security guard radio, okay?
Secretary, yes.
Do either one of you believe that Trump has the majority of votes in this election right now for the primaries?
You mean for Republicans or in general?
Just Republicans. Yeah, just the Republican group. Does he have the majority of the votes?
Yeah, that's what they were reporting. Right?
He does not have the majority
I
of the
don't
votes.
think
Really?
so.
He has a plurality difference.
Okay.
He is not pulling 50% of all the delegates. He's
Oh, you
not-
mean the delegates? Okay. Oh,
But that's the vote. Ultimately,
Right,
the
right,
vote
right.
is, right? He has a majority inside a minority. In other words, there's 5 people. He has a majority inside that subgroup of 5 people. That's a plurality. But if nobody else was running, he would not. If you took away the other 6 candidates and gave all those votes to one candidate, they would have the majority votes over him. He has about 30-something percent.
Okay.
All the other candidates equal the
70,
70, yeah.
69, whatever it is.
My math's
67,
not very good, is it? That's right. Whatever that number is, that's what equals 100, okay? Let me take my shoes off. So, see, again, people are going around saying, oh, it's a fact he is the majority. No. That's the thing bugs, whoosh, I almost said the S word, sorry. The crap out of me.
Okay.
Is the United States of America, let's see if we can stump the expert here, the young expert. Is the United States of America a democracy?
No.
What is it?
It's a republic.
What's the difference?
Republic is represented, right? By like
That's right.
that's the delicate thing.
In a republic, the reason the founders made it a republic and not a democracy is so Beyonce can't become the president. Because on a good day, Beyonce up on that stage during the Super Bowl, I'm voting for her. I'd vote for her, okay? And now she's the president. That's not what they wanted. They wanted separation of power, not allow anybody to have too much power, and therefore if all 3 groups of power agreed, that probably is the best choice. Not the perfect choice, but probably a better choice, right? And he goes around, it's a great democracy. We're not a great democracy. We're not a democracy.
Yep.
Democracies are not good if you want to have a better government. A republic is a better government. So even saying things like that skews people's brains. Where democracy has the majority of the vote, therefore he should be elected. Neither one of those things are true. But that's what gets proliferated on the news. Right? So we've talked about this before off air. We've lost critical thinking.
Yeah.
Where's the critical thinking on things? And I'm very pleased that you know we're a republic. Because most people still think we're a democracy.
Right. But as a result of us being a republic, I came across this article years ago. Well, actually,
Maybe it was months ago.
2009, yeah.
Maybe it's yesterday.
No, I mean, I came across the information years ago, but I came across this article. I don't know if either of you, but I'm going to read you the heading. It says, 12-year-old girl discovers that all but one U.S. presidents are directly related to each other.
Okay.
So what does that mean? Every president, besides one, are in the same bloodline. So
let's talk
that
about
would mean
this.
that the next president
Is this a
more than
conspiracy
likely
part of the show?
No, this is we can say a conspiracy, but this is she did the research.
Well,
and
there's
so forth,
something.
family
There
tree.
is something
So
to
that means
that.
the next president is what?
I don't
has to be in the
think-
bloodline. So either it's Hillary.
Okay, I like that.
Maybe it's Trump. So who's in the bloodline? Who's related?
Well,
'Cause Barack
Brock
Obama
to
was
Cheney.
related to Bush.
Cheney, wasn't it?
No, it's related to Bush. They were like, I don't know, fifth
no,
cousins
it's-
or something.
Well, I think the reason why this happens is because, okay, for example, I want to put it in smaller terms. So,
These are our kings.
Well-
All the kings of Europe are cousins.
Right.
I don't even
Exactly.
think it's like that bad of a thing. So if my mom, for example, has a restaurant, I'm most likely to go into the restaurant service because that's what I've been taught. Okay, so I think that's just what you've been groomed to do. It's not necessarily I don't know if it's all conspiracy theory, but rather it's so much easier for you to do it
That's the
because
way of things. It
your
makes sense.
family already has footing in that.
Who was the one president? Truman?
He doesn't even care what I say. He's like,
Every
no, like
American
who's the one
president-
president?
No, I do care what you say.
No. So in 2009, a 12-year-old girl stumbled into an incredible genealogy connection. Every American president but Martin von Buren shares a common ancestor.
So he must be with the Habsburgs in Germany.
And it looks like each president seemed to be related to John Lackland Plantain. I don't know how to pronounce that. Perhaps best known as Robin Hood's enemy, King John. The prodigious royal even signed the Magna Carta in 1215.
Well,
So they all go
Okay.
back related to one
One
king.
person, yeah.
Well, this is possible
Right?
because I've told you about the DNA thing I've done, right?
Mm-hmm,
So there's an old
What
saying.
did you do a DNA thing? What did you do?
Yeah, there's a thing called the National Genographic Program. So National Geographic and IBM years ago sat down and said, we're going to map all the DNA in the world. And they started collecting DNA, and you could mail in your DNA. And once they had a big database, they could start
Connecting people.
connecting
Yeah,
people,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And they found one island off of Africa.
That we're all related to. Is that what you said?
Well, that island has more DNA on it than any place on Earth because that's where every ship stopped off for the last 1,000 years to
Yeah.
get some, wenches and rum and whatever they did. And using that, going backwards, then they identified the biological atom. So your theory is not too off, right? Every male on Earth is related to each other with this Y chromosome. We all have the same Y chromosome. You can't do that for females. It's not the same math or science,
Okay.
right? So I'm related to a guy named Niall of the Nine Hostages. So that's the O'Neill family, came of the O'Neill family, but that were kings of Ireland for about 1,000 years. And this guy decided when all these kingdoms were in place in Ireland that he wasn't getting anywhere with this, you're the other king and you're the queen and I need more power. He went on and kidnapped 9 relatives from all these 9 other kingdoms and kept them in his castle and said, you mess with me and that's it. Your relatives are dead. And he seized power that way. Probably considered like the first terrorist act, right?
Yeah.
So kind of brilliant politically. And so how you do the math on that is Jefferson had a bunch of slaves and had a lot of sex with the slaves, and all those people had sex times, and all of a sudden Genghis Khan was a king and he had 300 wives times 300 babies times 300 babies is 1/3 of all people in Mongolia are related to Genghis Khan, right? And in Ireland, they say that it's like, I forget what the number is. It's a huge amount of males that are related to King O'Neill, right?
Okay.
So there is some science behind this story. It's possible. However, that might require close connections. That's a lot of Christmas and Thanksgiving dinners together when I can't get all my 9 brothers and sisters in one place because we're going to kill each other all the time, right? So hard to do, but over 1,000 years, but maybe.
Well, that goes back
Maybe.
to what we talked about in the pre-show when you mentioned something about Masons.
Yeah.
And the whole,
We did talk about the Masons.
Yeah. Right.
I'm intrigued by this. It's so,
So-
great.
Well, to do a Mason after show.
So,
Very interesting. I mean,
All right.
yeah, I did know there. I mean, the Roosevelts, of course, and that kind of thing. So it's all possible. So this is be why you see consolidation of these Democratic and Republican parties, and basically they're all one party now, and they all
Right.
just make,
Yeah.
nobody really cares what we say, right? So I think what's going to happen is people are eventually just going to get pissed off about all this stuff and say, that's it, enough's enough, and pitchforks and torches, and we're going to have some big problems.
All right.
People are tired of it.
Yeah. It's getting very scary. I think that both sides are very scary, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's all about power and position
yeah.
and things like that, I mean, one thing they could do is they could say, like in the old days, you basically went over there and served. It was kind of like a part-time job, right? And I'm going to go to Washington, and I'm going to get on my horse, and it's going to take 2 months to get there, right? Literally. And then I can't spend too much time here because it's freaking freezing and I don't have a heater. I'm going to go home, and I'm probably going to go out there in the summer. And they did part-time work, right? And now it's a job. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I don't think legislatures were ever supposed to be a full-time job. The whole idea was
Right.
contribute to the community and society, then go
And
back.
come back to the community.
And come back
But now
and-
they're so far
Yeah.
removed. Yeah, that
it's
makes
a different
sense.
community.
Yeah.
You watching House of Cards?
I'm not.
Oh, you got to watch House of Cards. Oh,
It's good?
you would love
Really?
Have you seen it?
I've seen the first season, and then
Yeah.
they killed the one girl, the Mara girl, and I was like, I can't.
What is it about? I don't.
Well, it's about the politician's name is Frank Underwood. And he has
Underwood.
cufflinks. He has cufflinks that say F and U.
You.
Very clever, right? And this guy is just the
didn't know
ultimate
this.
politician. It's just amazing.
Really?
And it seems accurate to me. I mean, the backdoor deals and how they do things. And I mean, it may be extreme with the murders and things that happen, but I don't think it's too extreme. There's been some examples of that in the news. I mean, you know, the lawyer who's running the whole investigation with all the files got killed or suicide. What?
Right.
Doesn't happen in my neighborhood.
Right.
Right. But I think you'd like it.
Okay.
I think it's a good study of American politics. It's actually based on a,
novel.
yeah, but I don't think
It's
it was
always based on a
Because
novel,
he's a-
right?
no, but it wasn't American. Wasn't it? Was it French?
I don't know.
Or was it based on an American politician? I can't remember. It's excellent. It's on Netflix. You binge watch it. You won't want to stop.
Okay.
So get your popcorn, your slippers, get all ready to go for
Yes.
8 seasons.
Postmates.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
House of Cards.
House of Cards. Yeah, Kevin Spacey. Who's great.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just about. It reminds me of the Clintons
Okay.
because they're a political couple that aren't really in love. That are just married for.
This is
the
a
politics.
very interesting
Yeah,
accusation.
Right.
Well, wait a minute.
Clintons
Wait a
and
minute.
Essex.
Are they Republicans or Democrats in that show?
I think they're Democrats.
They're all Democrats.
They're all Democrats.
Oh, really?
Which I thought was another interesting approach they took from it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to think Democrats are nice when you watch this TV
Yes.
show. You're going to have a whole different approach
Take
to
on
it.
it.
It's very. It's very.
But again, I think that's really just a merging of both parties. They're all one party now.
What, anyway,
Right.
Yeah, it's just one thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So interesting.
so now you know what? Now I feel even less safe than I started with the first show. I've made myself unsafe and scared now. Oh no, I have to
what
use
are
his
our
word.
3 points? Let's make sure that our listeners know that. What is it?
I have to use her word.
What's my word?
It's scary.
Scary.
It's
Scary. You sound like
scary.
you're 12 years old in
Right.
in
But that's how
Nancy
everybody
Drew novel.
feels.
I
when
know,
they're
but that's what they
unsafe.
thrive on is injecting that fear. So everyone is just nobody wants to talk about it. Let's just
It's
we're PC now. Let's
Personal,
not talk
local,
about
and
it.
now. Personal, local, and now. I want
That's
to make
it.
sure that everybody remembers that.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. That is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good show.
Good show.
I mean, I'm not making any conclusions on this. I'm just saying it all looks kind of weird and stinks. Something's weird.
Something's definitely going on.
Would you all agree? I think we could all agree to this. That this is, and you may be too young to have experienced it, but you can intellectually agree. Is this like no other election we've ever seen?
No.
It's not even remotely close to any other election. It's just weird. The whole thing's weird.
It really is.
Yeah. I mean, they only put Bernie up so they could have somebody else to make it look like she's running against somebody. Really? Why wasn't there 10 Democrats this time?
Yeah.
Because the fix is in.
It fixes.
So
it.
what you thinking?
So he doesn't know yet. He doesn't.
No,
know
but
still
yet.
you're
don't
saying
know.
the fix is in. So
Did you
what are
guys?
you leaning to?
I don't know what the fix is. That's the problem. It's so
But
clever.
if someone said it today, what would you say? If you
If I said, if I, who do I think is going to win, or
Right.
who do I like?
Who do you think is going to win today?
Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know. I'll
That's
tell you what
the
I think is
craziest
possible.
thing. What's possible?
What's possible is Kadich could come out of this.
who?
Kadich. See who he says who doesn't know who he is. John
Okay.
Kadich, governor of Ohio.
Oh, okay.
He gets like
Interesting.
1% of the vote. The reasonable guy, right?
He's very Republican, isn't he? I heard that.
No. He's really, I think he's moderate.
He's moderate.
Hey,
Okay.
he comes across as mostly reasonable to me, right? But here's the thing. I think this is true. No president has ever been president without winning Ohio, and he won Ohio.
Yes, they said that.
No.
I've heard about this. My friends from Ohio.
It's just it's a mathematical coincidence for now. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll break it on this mole. But if you went with that number, it's going to be him. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's the only thing I have that's some kind of, I don't know, other conspiracy. I could
We'll
base
talk
it on.
about this. We'll go back on.
I
it.
know it's interesting, right?
Yes, it's very interesting.
Thanks for tuning in to another exciting episode of Security Guy Radio. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, the Girls Site, Tumblr, Instagram,
Those are all the
and
girls.
SoundCloud.
Right.
See you next Monday. Good night.